Well, pull your chair a little closer to the fire, son. The flames are dancin' low tonight, and the wind outside is whisperin' through the pines like it's got secrets to share. I ain't one for fancy talk, but I got a story that's been burnin' in my chest for a spell, one that needs tellin' proper. It's about a woman, my wife, your Grandma Marilyn, who stood taller than any oak when the world tried to bend her low. Sit a minute. Let me take you back. It was a Tuesday mornin', the kind where the sun spills gold across the kitchen table, and the coffee's just strong enough to wake the soul. Marilyn was standin' at the sink, hands deep in soapy water, washin' the breakfast dishes like she'd done 1,000 times before. Her hair was pulled back in that loose bun she wore, strands of silver catchin' the light like threads of moonlight. The old checkered towel hung on its hook, the one she'd had since the 80s, thin as a whisper but soft as a memory, smellin' faintly of lemon polish. That towel was hers, same as the house, same as the life we'd built brick by brick. Our boy Evan, your daddy, walked in, his boots heavy on the hardwood we'd laid ourselves back when he was just a sprout runnin' wild with a frog in his pocket. He cleared his throat, and I reckon he thought that'd soften what was comin'. This house ain't yours anymore, Mom, he said, voice flat as a frozen pond. It's for Liza's family now. You can pack your things. Lord, the air turned thick, like the moment before a storm breaks. Marilyn didn't flinch. Didn't even blink. Just kept her eyes on the window, where the hydrangeas bloomed heavy and blue in the backyard, the ones I'd planted with my own hands the year we moved in, 42 years ago. I was sittin' at the table, coffee gone cold, watchin' her like she was a stranger wearin' my wife's skin. Evan had always been careful with his words, even when he was a boy sneakin' cookies before supper. This wasn't careful. This was a blade, sharp and cold. Liza stood in the doorway, arms folded, wearin' one of those silky robes she called loungewear but wore like armor. She didn't say a word, just smirked, like she'd already hung her name on the deed in her mind. Marilyn turned off the faucet, slow and deliberate, and dried her hands on that old towel. She folded it neat, set it on the counter, and looked out at those hydrangeas again. We've talked about this, Mom, Evan said, starin' somewhere past her shoulder. No, she replied, voice steady as the foundation we'd poured. You talked. I listened to keep the peace, like I've done my whole life. Liza's smirk faltered, just a hair. Evan pressed on, talkin' about the senior complex on Harold Street, my name, mind you, but he said it like it was a prize. It's modern, safe, he said. Liza found a brochure. Marilyn turned then, eyes lockin' on his like a hawk on a field mouse. Are you evictin' me from my own home? She asked. Evan flinched, like the word stung. It's not like that, Mom. Liza's parents are gettin' older. We need space. You've had your time here. Had her time. Lord, I near choked on my coffee. As if this house was a borrowed coat she'd worn too long. As if every wall didn't hold her laughter, her tears, her prayers. As if she hadn't refinanced this place twice to put Evan through college, buy his first car, pull him through that divorce that left him hollow-eyed and broke. Every payment after I passed came from her checkbook, her sweat, her stubborn heart. She didn't say none of that. Just said, okay. Liza blinked, like she'd been slapped with kindness. You're agreein'? She asked. Marilyn repeated, calm as a summer breeze, okay. I'll start packin', Evan looked suspicious, like he'd braced for a fight and got nothin' but air. You're not gonna make this difficult? He asked. Marilyn smiled, and it wasn't warm. I don't see the point. You've both made up your minds. They left her standin' there, alone with the hum of the fridge and the weight of 42 years. I watched her from the table, my heart twistin' like a rag in her hands. She didn't move for a long while. Then she dried the sink, straightened the chair cushion, wiped a crumb from the counter, and slid that tea mug into the dishwasher like it was any other day. But it wasn't. She walked to the hallway, opened the coat closet, and reached behind the umbrellas for the keypad. Her fingers didn't shake as she punched in the code. The safe clicked open, and she pulled out a file labeled, "If needed." Inside was the deed, her will, financial papers, and a new document, signed 6 months back, Putton, the house in a revocable live-in trust with our grandson Caleb as successor trustee. They didn't know. Not yet. Caleb was the only one who still called to ask how she was, who showed up with groceries and a smile that didn't ask for nothing. He'd been by last Thursday, helpin' her carry bags, sayin', "Grandma, you still got your wits. Don't let 'em bulldoze you." She didn't do this for revenge. Marilyn ain't the vengeful type. She did it because she'd lived long enough to know you don't wait for the fire to check the extinguisher. She closed the safe, walked upstairs, her knees creaking like they do on rainy days, but her heart was steady. That night, she made meatloaf, my recipe, the one Caleb loved. Liza didn't eat red meat, but Marilyn wasn't cooking for her. At dinner, nobody mentioned the morning. Evan talked work. Liza went on about some designer. Marilyn nodded, smiled where she had to, but something had shifted in her eyes. She wasn't a guest in her own home no more. She was a witness, watching them write their story, blind to the one she still held. That night, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling fan spinning, slow. They thought she'd pack quiet, fade into some retirement home with soft cushions and strangers. They didn't know her at all. And tomorrow, well, tomorrow was gonna show them the start of who she really was. "The fire's cracklin' nice now, ain't it? Pass me that poker, would ya? Gotta keep these logs lively, just like Marilyn kept her spirit through the storm that was brewin'. Let me take you deeper into her heart, back to the nights when the house itself seemed to whisper her name." Marilyn didn't sleep that night after Evan's verdict. Not from anger, mind you, but from memories rollin' in like waves on the old lake we used to fish. Soft, persistent, the kind you don't chase away. She saw me again, tall and lean, paint smudged on my shirt from the basement workbench where I'd tinker, till midnight. She saw Evan at 10, tearing through the hallway with a frog tucked in his pocket, Logan like the world was his. And she saw herself, younger, thinner, sittin' on the front steps with a mug of coffee, thinkin' how lucky she was to have a home like ours. We built that house from nothin' but sweat and dreams. I laid the foundation with my cousin Mark, hands blistered and bleedin' by the end. Marilyn painted every wall, every room, even the bathroom ceiling, which near broke her neck when she slipped off the ladder. We didn't have much back then, just each other and a plot of land far enough from the city for peace but close enough for radio signal. The apple tree in the backyard was a wedded-in gift from my mother, its roots takin hold the same year our love did. The garage started as a carport, we enclosed it the year Evan was born, hammering nails while he napped in a bassinet nearby. Nothin' about that place was just a house to her. It was a livin' thing, holdin' her pregnancies, her tired nights, her cookin', her cryin', her prayin'. And now Evan and Liza wanted to strip it bare. They saw dated finishes, underused square footage. They didn't see the cracks in the patio where Evan skinned his knee, or the worn staircase where Marilyn carried him to bed after nightmares. They saw a prize, not a life. She'd overheard Liza 2 weeks prior, talkin' to a contractor about knockin' out the back wall for a bigger kitchen, standin' in Marilyn's garden like she was already gone. That's when the spark hit. That little voice sayin', "Be ready." So she called Mr. Heldman, my old attorney, who still kept her number in his leather Rolodex. She met him on a Tuesday, brought orange zest muffins, don't let her fool ya, they weren't lemon, and a stack of papers. "I ain't plannin' to die tomorrow," she told him, "but I won't be bulldozed while I'm breathin'. He chuckled, said, "You're always 5 steps ahead, Marilyn." They spent 2 hours drafting the trust, Caleb trustee. He didn't know yet. She'd tell him when the time was right. The next morning, Liza was in the kitchen, wiping counters like she owned M. You left crumbs on the stovetop, she said, pointing to a speck of flour from the meatloaf. I'll take care of it, Marilyn said, calm as you please. Liza kept wiping, harder now. We're having a photographer for holiday cards, she said. And we should repaint. This green's tired. That green was seafoam, my pick after Marilyn nixed my maroon idea. Tired don't mean replaceable, Marilyn said, pouring coffee. Liza's smile was thin. Evan agrees. We've got a list of updates. Marilyn took her coffee and left. She wasn't fighting. She had certainty. She called Caleb that day. Can you come this weekend? She asked. Sure. Everything okay? He said. It's about the house. He was quiet, then, I'll be there. The next 2 days, she organized, not packing, but preparing. Sorted papers, boxed my tools for the Veterans Center, cleaned the silver, watered the plants. All the things a woman does when she's setting her world right. Friday, Evan left a stack of moving boxes by the stairs. So you can start when you're ready, he said, smiling like she'd thank him. She looked at him, thoughtful, then folded one box flat and slid it under the couch. She wasn't going nowhere. Not yet. I met Liza at a picnic, her in stilettos sinking into the grass. Evan fussed over her, but she brushed him off with a laugh sharp as glass. Marilyn tried, invited her to lunch, complimented her earrings, shared recipes Liza ignored. Liza called her Marilyn with practiced politeness, but it never felt like family. Slowly, Liza took over. New placemats, rearranged furniture, Marilyn's dishes in the garage, her books gone. Minimalism, Liza'd say. It's healthier. Healthier for who? Marilyn wondered. One Saturday, Marilyn found Liza scrubbing the entryway tile. Open house walk through Wednesday, Liza said. Evan's boss is coming. You'll be upstairs, right? It wasn't a question. That week, a designer with distressed jeans pointed at Marilyn's reading nook. We'll replace these chairs. Sleeker. She was sitting in one. You want this to look like everyone else's, she said. It's an investment, Liza replied. I am, Marilyn said. More than you know. That night, she checked the safe. All in order. She added a letter to Caleb, not legal, just her heart on paper. The next morning, her favorite chair was gone. Donated, Liza said. It was Harold's, Marilyn said quiet. Liza blinked. It looked worn. So much was gone, rug, clock, calendar, her presents. Marilyn asked Evan for the guest room. He was thrilled, thought it gave them space. She wanted to see how it felt to play along. Sure enough, Liza started measuring the master bedroom. Evan asked about selling her jewelry. One thing at a time, she smiled. She wasn't moving. She was watching. And Caleb was coming to learn the truth. The fire's settling into a nice glow now, ain't it? Smell that oak burnin'? Reminds me of the nights Marilyn and I'd sit on the porch, watching the stars, planning nothing but the next day's joy. But these days I'm telling you about, joy was hard to come by. Marilyn was digging deep, finned in strength in the roots of who she was. Let me paint you the picture. Liza kept pushing. One morning, she suggested Marilyn be cozier upstairs. The smaller room stays warmer, she said, sipping peppermint tea she hadn't offered to share. Marilyn held her black coffee, brewed 50 years strong. Smaller, she repeated. Cozier, Liza corrected quick. It was exile, plain as day. Marilyn didn't answer, just rinsed her mug. The next day, Evan tried again, polished like. Liza thinks you'd be happier upstairs. Quieter. The ensuite down here could be for guests. Her parents visit often. Marilyn peeled a potato, knife steady. Are they moving in? Evan laughed it off. Just visitin' more. She remembered Sharon, Liza's mother, inspectin' the bathroom, complainin' about old towels and tiles. I'll think about it, Marilyn said. She wasn't thinkin' about tiles. She was seein' how they were phasin' her out, one room, one drawer, one chair at a time. Harold and I dreamed of makin' that upstairs room a sewin' studio, she told Evan. He offered to build me a table. Evan blinked. You never told me. Some things don't need tellin'. They need rememberin'. He looked down, maybe tastin' his coffee for once. I'll move upstairs, she said. Let me know when Sharon's comin'. I'll wash the linens. He smiled, relieved. That night, she didn't sleep. Upstairs. She sat in the livin' room, wrapped in the quilt her sister made when I passed, staring at the moonlit trees. She wasn't afraid of being alone. She was afraid of being invisible. She made a list of facts, not complaints. Paid the last 3 tax bills. Bought the water heater. Covered electric, groceries. Gave Evan and Liza $40,000 5 years back when they lost their condo. Signed nothing. Gave everything. Deed in her name. Trust sealed. They didn't know. She tucked the list in her recipe book, the one nobody touched 'cause it was old-fashioned. Caleb came by, knockin' respectful as always. Hey, Grandma. They sat on the porch swing. If I left this house today, where'd I go? She asked. He frowned. Did Dad say something? It's not just him. He rubbed his neck. I hate how they talk to you. Like this ain't your place. It will be one day, she said soft. Not if I can help it. She handed him an envelope. Read it later. Keep it safe. He nodded, no questions. Sunday, Caleb came unasked, with a cinnamon bun and the newspaper. Figured you'd want the crossword, he said. Liza was gone, Evan in the garage with his project car, more prop than passion. They sat in the sunroom, Liza's cluttered space. Marilyn never changed. You used to play under that table, she said. Pretend it was a cave. He grinned. You'd give me chocolate milk in a wine glass to feel grown up. She still had that glass. He'd read her letter. It's a lot, Grandma. The trust, me as trustee, you callin' it early if you want. It's right, she said. They treat you like you're borrowin' this place. Borrowin's generous, she said. I feel like a squatter. He hesitated. You said I could be appointed early. When your father was 12, he carved his name in the upstairs windowsill. I let it stay. Now he wants to erase mine. Caleb's jaw tightened. I ain't angry, she said. I just won't fade quiet. What's the plan? He asked. We let em talk. Assume I'm foldin'. I'll sleep upstairs, eat at their table. You talk to Mr. Heldman. Learn the terms. Then we wait. For what? For the moment they ask too much. After Caleb left, she studied the family photos, crooked now, some gone to declutter. One of Evan holding newborn Caleb, proud and scared. One of me and Marilyn under the apple tree, hands dirty from planting tulips. Half didn't bloom, but we laughed like we'd won. She touched the frame, went upstairs. The guest room was bare, new blanket, Liza's yoga mats. She closed the closet, went to her real room, pulled Harold's wedded-in ring from the dresser, slipped it in her pocket. Looked in the mirror to remember who still lived there. She called Heldman. Mrs. Jarvis with the iron fillin' cabinet and orange zest muffins. They set a meetin' with Caleb. He picked her up, she in her navy slacks and my old anniversary coat. You look like you're headin' to court, he said. I'm prepared if someone declares war, she replied. Heldman's office was same as 30 years back, rusted cabinets, resentful Keurig. Caleb, your grandma's set a revocable trust with you as successor. She can appoint you co-trustee now. I want that, she said. You sure? Caleb asked. More sure than in a decade. They signed. It was done. Evan and Liza weren't entitled to a dime unless she said so. This'll cause friction, Heldman warned. It's already bruised me, she said. In the car, Caleb asked, what do we tell him? Nothin'. Let em think I'm foldin'. That evening, she made potato leek soup, Caleb's favorite. Liza was on a cleanse. Evan ordered Thai. Marilyn cleaned alone, not obedient, but making peace with a kitchen she wouldn't keep. And the storm was comin' closer. The flames are dancin' higher now, castin' shadows that flicker like the truth Marilyn was holdin' close. The house was gettin' tighter, like a new slow pullin', but she wasn't the one chokin'. Let me tell you how she drew her line, quiet but unbreakin'. She got a bank letter confirming Caleb's trustee status. Tucked it in the safe with the trust and insurance papers. Then she bought a brown notebook, nothin' fancy. On the first page, they think this house is theirs. They're wrong. I'll prove it with grace and law. She wrote daily, what they said, took, gave. A record for clarity, not court. The confrontation came like humidity, thick and clinging. Tuesday evening, Marilyn folding laundry, Liza stormed in with her phone. Explain this, she snapped, showing an email about the trust amendment. You went through my emails? Marilyn asked, folding a towel calm. The browser was open. It's my house too. Is it? Marilyn said. Liza paced. You made Caleb co-trustee. Didn't tell us. Didn't think you'd care. Why wouldn't we? You live in our house. No, dear. You live in mine. Evan walked in, confused. What's going on? She made Caleb trustee, Liza said. Evan's face went pale. Is it true? It is, Marilyn said. Why? I don't trust you no more. Silence, heavy as winter. You're being emotional, Evan said. I was emotional when I let you treat me like a tenant. Now I'm deliberate. You can't cut us out, he said. You're still here, ain't you? But you weaponized this house. You made it a battlefield. Liza demanded a transfer. To us. It's time. You're older. You've moved upstairs. And if I don't? Marilyn asked. We'll talk to a lawyer, Evan said. Nothin' to contest. You'll regret this, Liza hissed. I regret trustin' you, Marilyn said. They left. She didn't move. The clock ticked. The heater hummed. She opened the safe, pulled an envelope for Heldman Athorazen, Caleb full management. Called him. They know. They're angry. Want me over. Tomorrow. Bring ID. They met Heldman early. Invoke full authority, she said. Caleb's ready. Heldman explained, Caleb controlled the house, finances. She'd remain livin' trustee but could reverse it. No intention to, she said. She updated beneficiaries, only Caleb, then Charity, the Women's Veteran Housing Fund. Her sister served, died alone. She'd sent what she could. It's airtight, Heldman said. They threatened litigation. Let M, Caleb said. Want papers served? No. Let M sit with uncertainty, like I did. Back home, Liza's car was crooked in the drive. Kitchen smelled of lemon cleaner, her passive-aggressive jab. Marilyn's chair was gone again. Garage held boxes labeled with her things. She sat at the table, waited. Evan came at 5:30. Where's Liza? Out. What did you do? Appointed Caleb Managin, trustee. He controls who stays. This is insane. We counted on this house. I'm tired of funding my own eraser. Talk to Caleb now. He stormed out. She unpacked the boxes. Caleb called at 7. They want to meet. Here. Liza's bringin' a lawyer. Let M. Next morning, they arrived, Evan in office slacks, Liza in a blazer like armor. Caleb greeted at the door. Livin' room. Marilyn stayed in the kitchen, listening. Liza started, "You've made a mistake. This ain't how families handle things." By removing their mother from her bedroom? Caleb shot back. "Let's not get emotional," Evan said. "It was emotional when you told her to pack," Caleb said. "The day you erased her name from the wall." Liza called it manipulation. "He's young. Don't understand property law." "I do," Caleb said. "I've read the trust. Signed it. I'm managing, trustee." "You're 25, Evan snapped. "No game. Which is why I'm here, not you." Liza laughed. "He's poisoned by her paranoia. She's stayin' in the house she paid for while you tried to shove her out," Caleb said. Marilyn stepped in. "I ain't angry. Not anymore. You think this makes you noble? Turnin' your son against you?" Liza said. "I told the truth. He chose." Evan looked old. "You could have talked. Another way to get me out quiet." He said nothing. Caleb showed the terms. "Your guests. Challenge it, we respond." "You'll regret this," Liza said. "I already did. Stopped pretending it didn't matter." They left. Caleb said, "They ain't used to know." "Neither was I," Marilyn said. "Too long." That night, she opened her cedar box, letters from her sister Evelyn, wild and brave, who lived with us after running off and comin' back broken. Marilyn gave her the upstairs room, helped her find dignity. Gave her inheritance money for an apartment. Evelyn died in a crash, leaving letters of thanks. Marilyn never gave everything away again without protecting herself. And the fight was far from over. The fire's burnin' steady, throwin' warmth that wraps around you like Marilyn's old quilt. The nights were gettin' colder, but her resolve was hotter than ever. Let me tell you how the law and her heart faced off against the storm. Marilyn remembered givin' too much to Evelyn, hopin' it'd be enough. This time, she was Chu Sin, who protected her home. Mornin' after the showdown, she sat with coffee and the crossword. Liza walked in, no makeup. "My lawyer says we can contest. You might be unfit." "You'll lose," Marilyn said. "Caleb can't outmaneuver professionals. Truth survives lies. We ain't giving up. I'm not Evelyn. I don't vanish." Liza blinked at the name, confused. "History," Marilyn said. "Caleb brought groceries. You okay?" "Someone I gave too much to, didn't ask back. Now I'm a skin. An envelope came, formal letter from Lindholm and Crane, petitioning trust review, questioning her capacity, requesting a freeze and competency exam. 14 days to respond. She filed it under countermeasures. Called Caleb. They filed. Challenging capacity. Disgusting. Expected. Call Heldman. At his office, he wasn't surprised. They just need doubt. You got no medical flags. Trust solid. Let M play offense. We play memory. Mailbox was open, empty, petty jab. Liza texted, could have been peaceful. No reply. Marilyn wrote, day 37. They want noise. I give silence that echoes. I am the foundation. Her doctor, Harris, called. They asked for records. You give them. No. Called you. I'll write a letter affirming capacity. Make it blunt. Response went through Caleb, Marilyn Jarvis sound mind, per physician. Trust stands. No reply for days. Then Evan came alone, on the porch while she deadhead hydrangeas. I don't want this ugly. It already was. Why pretend I left you no choice? You became someone else when you let her pack my things. I missed the old house. This is it. You forgot what it meant. Herein was Monday, probate judge, no trial but a reckonin'. Caleb drove, suit too big. Marilyn wore my funeral coat. Courthouse smelled of polish and dust. Judge was sharp, silver pin, no nonsense. Opposite lawyer argued erratic behavior, manipulation, age concerns. Called her settler. Heldman laid documents, capacity exam, physician affidavit, notarized trust. No coercion. She ain't evicted anyone. Just wants her rights respected. Judge asked Marilyn to speak. She stood slow. I ain't here to punish. I stopped waitin' to be asked what I wanted. I raised my son here. Built it with my husband. Paid, cleaned, cried, laughed. I ain't unstable, confused, irrelevant. I made a decision with clear mind. Love without respect ain't love. It's leverage. Judge nodded. 10 minutes later, no cause. Trust stands. Dismissed. Liza stormed out. Evan lingered. Didn't think you'd go through. I always do what matters. Caleb said, you were perfect. Necessary. Outside, the cold didn't bite. 2 days later, Marilyn woke early, house silent. Sat in her living room, lamp and chair and my photo where they belonged. But it wasn't home no more. Legally hers, but peace was gone. She called Louise, Cohausen, community leader. I'm ready. Room by Sunday. She packed slow, choose in what carried weight. Left my armoire, Liza's mocked china, Evan's degrees. Took the quilt, Evelyn's letters, my blurry Logan photo. Caleb carried boxes. Evan appeared. You're leavin', dot. Choose in, dot. You won. Wasn't about win-neen. Wasn't waitin' to be pushed. You can't give up the house. She ain't, Caleb said. She's given herself a life. You stay, but talk to Caleb, she told Evan. I ain't angry. Stopped hopin' you'd see me. Caleb drove. Strongest person I know. Not strong. Finished waitin', dot. At the farmhouse, Louise took her bag. We made space. Her room was small, orchard view. She slept deep, no footsteps, no boxes, just leaves rustlin'. Mornin' tea with blueberry scones. Judith passed jam, slid the crossword. You'll fit fine. Marilyn weeded the garden, gloves on, no a skin. Bainpolder means no one expects you to start over, but the power's in doin' it quiet. And the house's future was still unfoldin'. The fire's down to embers now, glowin', soft like the peace Marilyn found. The hardest part was behind her, but the best was just startin'. Let me tell you how she bloomed where she landed, and what became of that old house. Called Caleb. How's it feel? Like a beginning, dot. House felt like it exhaled. Houses know things. Tax notice in your name. Wanna talk? Don't sell. Draft a use agreement. When they move out, donate to Women's Veteran Housing Fund. Transitional home, not shelter. Dignity for women told they don't belong. Caleb exhaled. I'll work with Heldman. Spare room, yard, someone's beginning, dot. Make it happen. You okay letting go? Not lettin' go. Makin' it mean something. Louise asked her to interview for the new Cohausen house. I was a teacher. I listen. That night, she whispered to the dark, we ain't done. Just started again. 6 months later, the garden was raised beds, benches, herbs. Caleb built M. The city house stood quiet. Evan and Liza moved 3 weeks post-hearin'. No drama, just mail forwardin'. They rented a townhouse. Liza silent. Evan sent Caleb's birthday photo, no caption. Marilyn replied, he's growin' into his name. No answer expected. Transition papers done. Harold and Marilyn Jarvis transitional home, for the plaque. It'd outlive her. Trina moved in across town, 53, divorced, cancer survivor, lost sister. On the porch, she said, first time I've had my own key in years. You'll never earn the right to exist here, Marilyn said. Meant it. Caleb came Sundays, muffins or just gratitude. Helped with community fund books. How's work treatin' your conscience, she'd ask. We're fightin' the quiet fight, he'd laugh. She started a new notebook, things no one asked but needed hearin'. This story's the first entry. You give, keep dignity. Forgive, close doors. Alone, still whole. Radical things stop explainin' yourself. If you feel your time's over, voice quiet, presence to apologize for, you ain't done. Ain't fragile. Don't need permission. Stay, speak, share, breathe deeper knowin' someone else stayed. Pass it on. We bloom late, hold the sun. But the house had one more chapter, and Marilyn's heart wasn't finished given. The embers are fadin', but the story ain't. Marilyn's life was just catchin' its second wind, and that old house was gonna carry her light further than she ever dreamed. Let me finish this proper, by the glow of what remains. The Cohausen community grew. Marilyn's hands, once weary from packin' boxes she never meant to fill, now planted rosemary and thyme, their scent risin' like prayers. She'd kneel in the dirt, gloves worn soft, pullin' weeds with women who'd been told their stories were over. Judith, with her sharp wit and jam recipes, became her porch confidante. Louise expanded again, another farmhouse, more women finned in, keys to their own lives. Marilyn interviewed M, listenin' like she once listened to Evan's childhood dreams, seein' strength where others saw brokenness. One evening, Trina sat beside her, knit in a scarf the color of hydrangeas. I was scared to hope, she said. Hope's a muscle, Marilyn replied. Use it or lose it. They laughed, the sound carryin' across the orchard where apples were startin' to swell. Caleb came by, muddy from garden work, eyes bright. Board approved the transitional home. Plaques ordered. She nodded, heart full. Good. Let it hold beginnings. Back in the city, the house waited. Evan stopped by once, alone, stood in the backyard where the hydrangeas still bloomed. Caleb met him. You can visit, he said, but it's hers. Always will be. Evan nodded, said nothin', left. Liza never came. Some bridges burn quiet. Marilyn's notebook filled. Pages of wisdom, not bitterness. Day 183. Planted sage today. Woman named Rosa cried when she saw her room. Said no one ever gave her a window with a view. Gave her the one fastened, the orchard. Another, day 210. Caleb brought muffins. Asked if I missed the house. Told him I missed the girl I was in it, but I'm prouder of the woman I am now. She taught a writin' circle at the community, women spillin' their truths on paper. One, Clara, 72, wrote about losin' her home to a son's greed. Read it aloud, voice shaken. Marilyn said, that ain't loss. That's proof you built something worth stealin'. The room went still, then clapped like thunder. Seasons turned. The transitional home opened a year later. First resident, a veteran named Dana, stood under the brass plaque, tears cutting tracks through dust on her cheeks. Harold and Marilyn Jarvis, she read. Who were they? Caleb, there for the ribbon cuttin', said, a man who built with love, a woman who protected it. Dana moved into the upstairs room, the one Evelyn once had, the one Marilyn was pushed to. She hung a quilt her mother made. The house exhaled again. Marilyn visited once, drove with Caleb. Stood in the kitchen, hand on the seafoam wall. Still tired, she asked the empty room, smilin'. Dana offered coffee. They sat where Marilyn once made meatloaf, talkin' about resilience like old friends. You saved this place, Dana said. No, Marilyn replied. I just made sure it kept Savon others. Back at the farmhouse, she kept Bloom mean. Helped Louise start a fund for women's tradin' skills, carpentry, plumbin', things she and I learned buildin' our home. Teach 'em to build their own foundations, she said. Caleb ran the trust, steady as she taught him. He brought a girl to meet her, shy, kind-eyed. She reminds me of you, he said later. Good, Marilyn laughed. World needs more of that. Her notebook's last entry, written as snow dusted the orchard, day 7:30. 2 years since I chose me. The house is full of new voices, none mine, all welcome. I don't explain no more. I just live. If you're reading this, know your story ain't over. Write the next line bold. The sun's waitin'. The fire's near out, but Marilyn's flame burns on, in the women who found keys, in the house that holds beginnings, in Caleb's steady hands, in every heart that hears her truth. She bloomed late, held the sun, and lit the way for others. And that, sun, is a life worth tellin'.